Jeanty got 344 carries for 2,497 yards.
I think of Travis Hunter winning the Heisman. I think of Lamar Jackson when he won the Heisman.
He basically got more rushing yards than some of the quarterbacks in the NCAA has passing.
To go on defense and the guard, the receiver one, going on your offense and catching touchdowns, getting first down.
29 touchdowns, and he averaged 7.3 yards a carry.
Some of the best skill sets I've ever seen in my life for a college player.
So basically what I'm saying is that every time he touched the ball, he's a first down.
Is this about the best player? Is this about the best freak athlete? Is this about the best stats? Or is this about winning games? What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the Social Club, where everyone has a seat at the table. I'm your host, Jacob Hale, joined with me by my friend Cam Saunders here.
What's up?
So we got a lot to talk about, but take care of some housekeeping things. Go ahead, like, follow, subscribe, check out everything that we got going on. Check out our Discord. Got Discord. We'll put the link down below. But, like I was saying, just want to make this a community thing. Want to make this super fun. Put down your thoughts below. Let's have a discussion. I'll be answering comments. He'll be answering comments. Got a lot of strong takes, a lot of good things to talk about. But
yeah. I totally agree. And when Hale spark up the Discord, obviously we're gonna give everybody a chance to talk in there. But hey, when we in the Discord, it's gonna be a little bit more, we're gonna be going at it type of thing. And we can't have 100 people talking to Discord at once. So, we're gonna try to let everybody be heard. But hey, when we in the Discord and he dropped that schedule to the Discord, make sure y'all jump in there because boy, I love to argue. So make sure y'all jump in there because listen, you better come with it. You better come with it when we in that Discord. So
there you go. So with that being said, let's talk about it. Let's talk about this Heisman race here.
It's not even up for debate.
Yes, well, we'll see.
It's not up for debate.
So this has been a lot of talks to give you guys the background information. There's been a lot of talks, and obviously, if you've ever gambled before, you'll see that Travis is the favorite according to Vegas to win the Heisman. But of course, there's a lot of argument about Ashton Jeanty for Boise State,
yep.
and saying that he's more deserving of the Heisman. And of course, there's stats, there's game footage, there's everything that people are throwing out. But surprisingly, I texted Cam. I was like, hey, Cam, what do you think should win and why? And he started going off on me. He's like, I don't know. I don't know why you think this way. All right, hold on.
Yeah, he got Travis. I'm gonna just say it. He got Travis Hunter. I got Jeanty. There's no secret behind it. And let me tell you why I got Jeanty. Right? Here's the thing. Right? What I think a lot of people like you are doing, I think y'all rewarding Travis Hunter about the amount of snaps that he's playing. Right? I think y'all looking at Travis Hunter as far as hey, he's doing it both on offense and defense. He's being productive. Yada yada yada. Blah 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 blah. Right? And I saw Travis Hunter's play in person at Arrowhead at KU. Once again, this guy, he's good. He's electric. He's a top 5 pick, top 3 pick. He's not 3, right? I think he's well deserving of all the accolades he deserves. I think he's one of the best. I think he's one of the best players in his respective position. And by position, I'm going as far as cornerback. I don't think he's the best receiver in the nation, but I think he's the best cornerback in the nation, right? Now, let's talk about Jeanty, who I think should win the Heisman, right? Do y'all realize that this guy, right? And I'm gonna be honest with you. One of his favorite running backs of all time is Barry Sanders. Do you know that? I'm sorry, it ain't Barry. But do you know? Yeah, I know. Never mind. He's a Bears fan. I'm sorry. I
was about to say it's Walter Payton.
Let me just read some stats for y'all, right? And I make sure that I pulled it up before we even started. Going over this, right? Jeanty got 344 carries for 2,497 yards. He basically got more rushing yards than some of the quarterbacks in the NCAA has passing. All right, let's just keep that in mind. 29 touchdowns, and he averaged 7.3 yards a carry. So basically what I'm saying is that every time he touched the ball, he's a first down. Every time he touched the ball, he's basically a first down, right? And not only that, he's the best in his respective position. It's not even close. You got Jeanty, you got the next available running back. It's not even close, right? And just what he's able to do for Boise State by just single-handedly taking them to the playoffs, as far as he's carrying that team literally on his back. That's just Mark Ingram won Heisman with way less stats, way less responsibilities, way less pressure. Jeanty took a Boise State team, not even playing quarterback, to the playoffs. That of his own should be deserving of the Heisman Trophy winner. And once again, Travis is a good player. Travis, deserve all the accolades. But I think Jeanty just has this award. It's not even close.
Okay, that's interesting. So, I'll start with talking about Travis before I talk about what I think about Shinty and everything. So, what I would say about Travis is clearly a freak of nature, the likes of which we've never seen before. While people go on and say like, "Oh, we're just debating it because of snaps and everything like that," we both played sports before.
That is difficult.
Do you know how humanly impossible it seemed
difficult
to not just play snaps, but play offense and defense and to be impactful on both sides? To go on defense and to guard the receiver one wherever he's going and tailing him, and then also going on your offense and catching touchdowns, getting first down, being the guy that you need to be for that team and those players is some of the best skill sets I've ever seen in my life for a college player. The only one that I think comes close in terms of being that all-around athlete was, I believe, Jabril Peppers for
Michigan.
Yep.
Michigan, I remember. Yep.
Yeah, I think that was the last player I've seen that was like that. Which also he was up for the Heisman race during that time as well. But so my argument for Travis Hunter is pretty straightforward. Is that when I think of the Heisman Award, and the problem is we're not definitive on what it means, right?
Yep.
So is this about the best player? Is this about the best freak athlete? Is this about the best stats? Or is this about winning games? It's a combination of those four, but it makes it hard for this argument and how you formulate things. Right?
I totally agree with you. Totally agree with
so yeah. So my issue with this is that, when you look at a guy like Travis Hunter, when I think of Travis Hunter winning the Heisman, I think of Lamar Jackson when he won the Heisman. Because I look at that team is that he was clearly the best player on that team. He was wielding that team in a lot of games to win games. What Travis has shown to do. Now, Travis is not, having game-winning touchdowns and things, but he's having, fumbles in the end zone to prevent touchdowns. He's having interceptions. He's still scoring and everything, right? And then also, people forget that year Lamar Jackson won, that was not a good Louisville team. I believe they have 4 losses on that record, right? Now, they went into Clemson and almost beat them, but it's still a loss, right? So when I don't think winning is the most important thing when we're talking about the Heisman. It seems to morph around a mixture of stats and being a freak athlete is what they're doing. Because Lamar Jackson that year wasn't the biggest passing quarterback. He may have been the biggest rushing quarterback. I would have to look back at the stats, but it would be comparable. He wouldn't be like an outlier in that regard. But when people watch him play, you clearly saw he was the best player on that field. And when I think of Travis Hunter as like, I can put him in any conference, any single conference, right? And he will be still the most dynamic player on that field. Where Ashton Jeanty, on the other hand, if I put him in any conference, he would be good. But I couldn't argue that he would be the best player on every single team that you would place him in, just by the fact of he plays the running back position. While his stats are good, he plays in the Mountain West. So put him in the SEC, and then let's compare the numbers. Since you're a big SEC guy, you always talk about how much better the competition is on the SEC. Yeah. I think he'd do well, but is he getting 2,000 yards? It's a good question, right? So when I compare those two, I'm a big Travis Hunter fan, not just because of the stats, but because of how physically impossible it is as a player to be that healthy, that dynamic, and play that many stats for the course of a game in a still meaningful conference like the Big 12.
So let me ask you a question. Are you saying that he's winning it based off the two factors of he's a freak of a talent nature and stats, right? So freak of nature and stats, is that the two components you're using that to base Travis Hunter Heisman like case, right? He's a freak of nature and his stats, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. And this is where I got you, right? You make the same argument about Olineman. Olineman, I feel like if an O-lineman plays every single game and you got O-linemans out here that's running 4.6s, 4.7s in today's world, and an O-lineman don't give up a sack in the entire season, why he's not considered the best player in the world, you know what I mean? So I don't think it should go off freak of nature and stats. I think it should go off impact, right? And if you look at the impact between the two players, can Shedeur Sanders still throw for what he threw if Travis Hunter wasn't on the field? That's what I look at, right? Is Boise State still running the ball for 7 yards a carry if Jeanty wasn't on the field, right? Can Colorado defense be really good without Travis Hunter on that field? Right? Can the offense sustain that Boise State without Jeanty on the field, right? When he's 90% of the offense. So then the type of questions that I ask is like, who is more impactful? And I feel like if you take Jeanty off that Boise State team, they are not being what they are now. If you take Travis Hunter off that Colorado team, they will probably still be where we at, right? Like, maybe a game less than where we at, but they still got really good receivers. His impact is not as big as what Jeanty's is, and that's my only argument to the Heisman conversation.
Well, I have a couple things to disagree with that. So I'm a former Olineman, so of course I show love to the Olineman. I think Dominic Pudi for Kansas should have been considered Heisman, considering he didn't allow a sack the whole year last year, of course. So, I agree with you on that. I do think Olineman should get better respect for that. But, when I think of freak of nature, it's just a very wild term, right? Of course. Because, you're bringing out the 40 times and everything like that. But again, no one's being that productive playing that many stats. Things like that have never happened. And again, a part of the argument that I don't understand is that you're making this case that without Jeanty, Boise State would be nothing. But Boise State has always been a strong team. They've always been a strong team. Part of the reason they've been strong is just, again, look at their conference. It's not a strong conference. And if you watch the Boise State, now Jeanty, yes, he's the best player on the field. I'm not going to diminish his work, but they still have a very good quarterback. They have a strong passing game.
Good O-line. They have a really good O-line.
And their defense is very underrated. It's a very strong defense. I don't think it shows up stat-wise, but in terms of impact and what I've seen, especially from that when they went up against Oregon and seeing how they played, it's like, okay, they can keep up with any team. Any of the better teams, and everything. So Boise State is a strong team in and of itself. It's not like it's not like without Jeanty, they wouldn't have won the Mountain West. And that's my argument right there, right? In terms of Travis Hunter, I think there's some parts I do agree with. Yeah, that Colorado team is still very dynamic, or wherever we want to say. Colorado's not playing in the Big 12 championship, right? Mm-hmm. So clearly they lost 3 games for a reason and everything. My counter to that, though, is, again, when you look at statistics now, cornerback stats are very hard. And we were having a conversation about this, right?
Yes.
So it's hard to judge because while on one hand you're looking like, okay, well, how many interceptions does he have? Well, interceptions means that the QB's confident enough to throw the ball that way, right?
The cornerback's getting targeted. Yep.
Exactly. So if he doesn't throw the ball that way, then it's not going to reflect on the cornerback stats. But when you watch then, you clearly see it's like, okay, he's locking down these receivers and everything. So my example to that is that Arizona game, right, where you have a clear top 5 receiver that you had to go up against, I think McMillan or something like that.
He's a top 10. He's going to be a top 10 pick.
Yeah, absolutely. And his stats are phenomenal, right? And, he's a clear outlier on that Arizona team for sure. And, Travis did a great job against, I think he only had 3 receptions for like 25 yards on the game or something like that. While on top of that, again, having to go right back on offense and producing for the offense in that measure, right? So, cornerback stats are tough to judge, but when I look at the fact that it's like no one's really targeting when Travis Hunter is covering someone, that speaks volume to how good of a corner he is. And I do agree, he is the cornerback 1. Now, when you go on the receiver side, again, receiver is his second position, right? And he's still falling in the top 10 in terms of stats-wise. And again, that's not his sole focus. He still has to go back and cover your team's top 1 receiver, So that's something that's like, okay, he's not throwing the ball to win games in that sense, right? And you look at a Colorado team, they're not in the championship, so it's easy to knock them on that. But we're just talking about the individual player. Travis Hunter has done everything he could do. Literally has done everything any player could be asked to do to help them win that game. So for them not to win, I don't consider that a knock on him. Similar to Lamar Jackson the year that he won. Lamar, when you saw him on the field, he literally did everything he could to help that team win. But that team still lost 4 games. So how much do you really fault him for that?
Yeah, I get it. But what people need to fail to realize is that Travis Hunter may come on the stat sheet as 127 snaps, but to be honest with you, he only really played 60 or 65. The reason why I'm saying that is because there, as a former receiver, and I know this, and most receivers know this, is that on run plays, coaches tell you, hey, use run plays to rest so that way you can run your routes hard, right? When the run's going the opposite way of him at cornerback, he used that opportunity time to rest, right? So once again, that, even though he's on the field 127 snaps and 127 snaps because most of the times he's just standing up or just coming off the ball because the ball is going away from him, right? Unlike Jeanty, every time Jeanty on the field, he has to go 100%. Either he got to be in the protection or he got to run the football. And I think, at the end of the day, if you're looking at it as far as like, hey, snaps plays a big issue, it really shouldn't because he's not really going 100% all 127 snaps on the field. He's resting half of the time he's on the field. That's why he can be on the field that long and maintain his stamina. So, it's a good Heisman debate. If I had to pick, I'm picking Jeanty. Obviously, he's taking Travis Hunter away. Both players are fantastic at a respective positions.
Let me explain something that you said though, right? Because I don't understand that, and the reason why I don't is that we're making it seem like that Ashton Jeanty is the only running back on the roster. It's like there's at least three other running backs on that roster. So when Ashton Jeanty goes on the field, he has to go 100%. Yeah, but he can also take a break in the middle of the drive. If you do a 12-play drive and you can do a rotation of running back, Ashton Jeanty breaks off for a 30, 40-yard run. He's not staying in the game. He gets a play off, right?
Sure.
So the idea that when there's a run play, but you're still on the field, and because you're not making the tackle that you can just sit there and rest and stuff, like that's just the nature of football. You can make that argument for anything. Just like for a QB, if a QB's tired, he hands off the ball. Just like for an O-lineman, if an O-lineman's tired, you can negotiate with the D lineman if you want to.
Some argument to that was
those things happen. So the idea that we're trying to now that we're proving the snap thing, and like that's clearly incredible. Now we're trying to diminish the snaps that he has physically on the field by saying how many of those plays is he going hard and stuff. I don't agree with that argument. Really.
Well, what I'm basically saying is that my argument to that was his snap count shouldn't be an argument in his Heisman campaign. That's all I was trying to explain to that. That's why I brought up the snap count, because that should not be the main factor to his Heisman campaign. Is that, look, he's doing it on both sides. He's not coming off the field. Well, yeah, that's true. But also on the field, he also is still getting his rest, and he's just out there, not being in the play. That's basically what my argument is, that even though he's on the field, every snap should not be weighted the same as if he was just coming off the block, just touching somebody on the run play. That's all I'm trying to say.
Well, it's snap count adjacent to what your production is, right?
Yeah.
So, like, the people that are just saying because it's snap count and that's the reason, it's like something's wrong with that, right?
Yes. And that's my issue. That's not your issue, but that's some people's issue. It's like, well, he played 127 snaps a game.
Like, we've seen it because we went to the Cotton Bowl together. We've seen receivers that would just run the entire game and they wouldn't catch a single pass, right? So that happens. But it comes down to production. It's like he's doing all that, but still being a meaningful component. You know who I'm talking about, but he's still being meaningful player and
we love you, buddy.
Yeah, he's still having production on the field. But because you want to argue the running back, there's a couple other things that I would have to ask. And when we think about running backs, okay, we want to throw up the ones that actually won, right? The Mark Ingrams and all that stuff, and the Derrick Henrys who deserve to win, of course, right? Mm-hmm. But okay, I want to make that argument for the running backs who didn't win, but also had way higher production than the Heisman winners of those running back positions. So I look at people like Melvin Gordon, right? When he was on that Wisconsin team.
Yes.
Jonathan Taylor.
Yes.
Jonathan Taylor, I believe.
Wisconsin also.
Yeah, Jonathan Taylor. I believe he had back-to-back 2,000-yard rushing seasons. I think at best he got fourth in the Heisman voting. You look at someone like Christian McCaffrey.
Okay.
Players like that, okay, I was under the impression that we're not valuing this running back system as high as we think we are, because I look at these other running backs in the past that have done similar things that Ashton Jeanty has done in better conferences. The only advantage that I give to Ashton Jeanty is the fact that he's actually going to break the record. Very crazy, insane, nothing we've ever seen running back seasons. We've seen those before. The problem is that I was under the impression that we don't weight that as high as what other people have done. Again, the year Okay, first of all, we ain't gonna act like we didn't look up Melvin Gordon highlights at Wisconsin.
Oh,
Like that dude,
1000%. He was really good.
that dude was
Jonathan
insane.
Taylor.
Oh, absolutely insane.
I still
Actually,
watch Mark Ingram highlights to this day.
yep. And then also another person I remember, Leonard Fournette. Leonard Fournette
Yes.
on that LSU team where you rushed for 1,000 yards in 5 games in the SEC. He had one of the greatest running back seasons I've ever seen in my lifetime, right? In the SEC, when the SEC was by far the greatest conference during that time, right? And again, did not win Heisman.
So let me ask you a question. Do you like the fact that the Heisman Award this year is not a quarterback award this year? Do you like it now that other positions are being recognized outside of quarterback?
Absolutely.
Do you think it's good for the game of football?
I think so, absolutely. And part of the reason why is that, to be honest, I don't think the QB play has been that good this year.
Yeah, the QB play in college football is not as good as
I don't think it's been anything special. I think there's only 2 outliers, which is Shador and Cam Ward, I would say. And then everyone else, I think it's a distant third.
Who's getting that third spot to you?
Third Heisman spot?
Yep.
I think Cam Ward, just because they definitely had the best offense in football.
Okay.
I personally believe they had the best offense. I think the only other argument would have been Shador in that spot, to be honest. But I like how QB, it's not just a QB thing to win. And I think this is a great year to argue that you shouldn't do that because of the fact that there's not a lot of good QB play. What was really surprising, what I thought was cool, was the year Devontae Smith won.
Yes.
Because if I remember correctly, there was a lot of good QBs in college football that could have won that award. But
insane.
And he deserved to win. So I'm glad that we are shifting away from that and not making it just a QB award.
Do you think we ever see another? Well, Travis Hunter might be the first defensive player to actually win a Heisman in a while, right?
Yep. So yeah, absolutely. Well, other than that, you guys let us know, who do you think should win Heisman? And of course, let us know what you think of the whole system. Do you think it's a broken system? Do you think it's very jaded? It's very, leaning towards one side or whatever it is. But go ahead and let your thoughts know, or let us know your thoughts down below. And other than that,
I think we're good.
We'll see you guys in the next one.
All right.